Hello everyone and welcome to my channel. In this video, I will be sharing with you what my planning system is like for 2024. The paper you see here is a free printout I had shared in my previous video titled How to Choose a Planner. I have the link in the description box below if you want to check it out. This is basically how I arrived to my decision on which planner to use for 2024. Last year in 2023, I had used a bullet journal and a daily undated planner like this one here. This is a self-journal. I had used a variety of daily planners for each quarter. If you want to check them out, I did do a flip through of all the planners I had used last year. The link is in the description box below as well. So after going through this worksheet and comparing the cost, I had finally decided on the Hobonichi cousin for 2024. Before I show you how I'm using this planner, let me explain to you what my planning system is. It's not only the Hobonichi cousin, I'm also using other tools. The first one is Google Calendar. My husband and I use Google Calendar to coordinate our family activities and appointments. So for stuff like that, I'm using the Google Calendar instead of writing it in a paper planner. It's just more convenient that way for all of us. Next, I'm using a food log app to log in my meals, track my calories, and also fitness. Again, it's because it's just more convenient and everything is calculated automatically. Next is Goodreads. I have been using Goodreads since 2014 to track my reading. I don't plan to stop using Goodreads because it's a wealth of book inventory in there that I'm unwilling to give up. With that said though, I'm using Notion also to track what I read each year. There's a certain customization in Notion that allows me to see the books I read each year by genre that Goodreads wasn't able to sort for me. Next, for my expenses, I'm using Excel spreadsheet. I have been using Excel for many years now, and it's just faster and more convenient to use it since I can use formulas to automatically calculate. The last tool I'm using is Google Keep for all the random lists I keep. It's also a handy tool to use because it's available on my phone and computer. Before I forget, I mentioned Notion earlier. Besides logging what I read for the year, I'm also using Notion to log all the shows and movies that I watch, as well as a garden log for all my plants. And now for the Hobonichi cousin. Basically, the things I did in the bullet journal and daily undated planner, I'm going to do them in here. Before I start, if you're interested in seeing how I set up my planner, I have the link in the description box below. Okay, so this is the cover, and I've added a little bit of something at the front over here. This is actually a best self-journal morning-evening ritual card. I never used it for a self-journal, so I'm gonna use it for the Hobonichi. So I promised myself that I didn't want to do any more double entries like I did in the self-journal, because every day I've been listing down all these morning and evening ritual routines that it became kind of repetitive. So instead, I have it on the card over here, and every day I'm just gonna look at the card to kind of remind myself whether or not I've done it, and if I have not, then I'll just go ahead and do it. So I have it just stuck over here with a piece of washi tape so that it doesn't move around when I open and close the cover. This is just the front. I didn't put anything other than my name and a sticker. Over here is the calendar, and this part I've covered it with a bunch of kind of like a flipped open cards that you can write in, and I'm using this to log in all our family events. So if it's just me and Ezri kind of day, I'll also write it down over here. And I already made a few entries in January. So one was a time where we went to Barnes & Noble, and then we did exercise together at the park and a workout video. The rest are still empty, but I plan to fill them up eventually. Hopefully there's enough room, but if I do run out of room, I think maybe I'll figure something out later down the road. Next is a calendar index page. Now this is just a piece of paper I'm using to sort of prevent the ink from transferring onto the next page, because that's what happened over here. I don't know if you can tell, but to me it's noticeable. Kind of gel pen inks that I'm using, it doesn't dry quick enough, so I needed to use a piece of paper to kind of blot it out and prevent it from transferring onto the next page. So I have it over here, And this one over here is my habit tracker. Every month I have these important tasks that I need to make sure I do. Water bill is every 2 months, so that's why you see it every 2 months like that. And then here, the current habits I'm tracking compared to last year is much shorter. So I have the mood, my reading, like how many pages, whether I've achieved calorie deficit, whether I've dreamt for that day, the cardio workout, whether Esri did her workout, and also strength workout for myself. For now, this is what I have, and if it works out, I'll probably repeat these habit trackers over each month. Down here, I have a mini legend. This is basically the colors I'm using to represent each of my mood. There's 3 moods over here. And then this one over here represents the number of pages I've read. So the colors is what I'll be using to represent this side over here. This one over here used to be the December monthly page. I didn't want to repeat the December from last year's stuff, so instead I just used it as a decorative quote page. So here I used Happy Planner quote stickers, the ones that I like, and the ones that would match the colors of the flowers over here, and just kind of put them all here. Okay, and then here is another piece of paper to dry out the ink. I'm basically using this as my YouTube scheduling planner. These are just the video titles. This is what I plan to do. And then here is a tracker for the video task. And then here is a tracker for my Instagram. So whenever I post something, I would make a mark over here. And then this is just some stats for each of my social media accounts. Moving on to my weekly planning. Originally, I wanted to divide specific sections according to these categories. I have here Wordle, fitness, self-care, job search, learning. But I find myself not necessarily following that amount of space. And instead, I have on top here the Wordle, which I kept to it. These are just notes of the language that I'm learning through Duolingo. So whenever I encounter a word that I'm having trouble remembering, I would write it down over here, and then I'll divide it using a line. Here is just a weekly reminder that I hope to achieve. And then here is my tracker for flossing and water intake. Here, I use a sticker rather than putting a heavy tracker at the calendar index page because I have the stickers. So I want to finish using up the stickers, so I purposely put it over here in the weekly page so I can use them up. At the bottom over here are my fitness log, marked in blue highlight, and then here marked in pink is my job search task. The second week, I did the same thing, and again I have a piece of paper to prevent the ink from transferring. Here is the same thing. I have a water tracker, sticker for flossing, and then this is some priorities for the week. And I'm still doing the same thing. I didn't write down any notes at the side here. Instead, I think I'm just going to refer back to this page, or if I remember, I don't have to refer to it, and I'll just do the same thing. So Wordle for now, and then notes on my languages. I'm learning Japanese and Mandarin primarily, but I do have also Spanish and Korean in Duolingo. But I've not been consistent with those 2 other languages, just mainly Japanese and Mandarin. And then again, I did the same thing, divided by lines, and then using blue highlight for the fitness, pink for the job search. So for the empty pages in the Hobonichi after the weekly layout, I turned it into my goal tracking page. So here on top is basically the goals that I hope to achieve this year for 2024. And then this section over here is basically some tasks that I hope to accomplish within that month. And this one is my January daily start. And again, I have a piece of paper over here. I've been recycling paper and cutting them up to put in between pages that I would be frequently writing in. So over here on top is for keeping track of stuff concerning my daughter, and then this one is just some highlights that I want to write down for myself. This one is the number of books that she is borrowing or reading, and then these are the activities that she is participating in. Now for the daily, I wanted to keep my to-do list right over here because I'm a huge checklist kind of person and it gives me satisfaction to check things off. So I have a to-do list over here, and then I'm using stickers to decorate the daily pages for sure, as I have been doing for the past few years. And then I'm also doing some journaling. When I was doing journaling, I find myself wanting to actually doodle, so I've been trying out doodling a bunch of stuff. So this one is supposed to be Funko Pop Mickey Mouse gingerbread character. I don't think I did a good job for this one, but it seemed kind of cute anyway, so I just put a sticker over here just to let people know, for you viewers out there, that this is actually a Mickey Mouse. Then Tuesday, this one, I'm using more stickers over here in case you can't tell. And then this is the only doodle I did. I was trying to sort of work my way up to doodling more. The next day, I decided to doodle a character from a book that I was reading. It was The Throne of Glass, Book 3, Heir of Fire. I didn't really quite draw it accurately, but I did my best. And then here I decided to try dividing the page into 3 columns. Same goes with the next day. I think I like the 3 columns because it reminds me of reading a newspaper kind of thing, but it gives me too much white space. I'm not sure how I feel about it. Maybe every now and then I'll go back to this style or just do a free flow writing as I was doing the previous days like this one. But usually I'll start off with the stickers or doodle and then write around it. So here I decided to draw a slime monster. This one is from a TV show that I was watching, Sweet Home on Netflix. It was really cool. I really like the show. And then here is a doodle from Sweet Home again. This is from season 2. Then here I'm using more of the stickers, and the only doodle I did was this blue eggs, the blue hen eggs, and the only doodle I did over here is just this one. And then the next day I did more doodling. This is pork meat floss that I bought from 99 Ranch. And then I also doodled my cup. And this one is from the Gyeongseong creature from Netflix. I'm currently watching this show and it's really nice. And then the next day I drew the cover from Love Theoretically. It took me a really long time to actually do this one. And what I did was I used a pencil first to get the shape right and the angle right. That's the only way I can draw nicely, to be honest. I can't just straight away use pen and then draw it out. I'm not that good. So once I have it down in pencil, then I'll use the pen to draw over the pencil marks. The hardest for me was the hands. The eyes luckily was just closed, so it's not a problem. But the hands for the girl, it was so hard. And it didn't really look like this on the book cover, but I did my best. Erasing the pencil marks was a little bit difficult because the ink did not dry fast enough, and some parts you can't really tell, but some parts it kind of smudged. So I think if it's not possible, I'll just leave out erasing the pencil marks. I'll just leave it here. This one, it took me a really long time to draw this, and initially I wanted to draw it this big, but from the size of the head and then trying to proportion the body parts, it became this long. So, but I wanted it to be nice, so I took extra time to draw it out. The eyes, I did not do it justice, but I did my best. I kind of like how it turned out. So I used a blue highlighter, which is the Marliner, to sort of outline the body, and it kind of matches with the sticker. So I really like this page a lot, because it took me a long time to achieve this. And then here, I decided to draw a hummingbird. So this one, I referred to a picture from online on internet. I tried to do it as realistically as possible. I don't really have my techniques down. So I did my best to outline the bird, the way the wings move, and the placement of the feathers. And then I debated whether or not to just leave it as it is without coloring it, but in the end I decided to just color it in and match it as close as possible to the green I have over here. So this is basically what I'm planning to do for the rest of the daily pages. I will have my to-do list over here, and then some journaling and some doodling and stickers. And let me put this paper over here. Okay. I don't know the number of papers that I actually have, but for whichever page that I'm actively on, then there will be a paper. Okay, so I'm skipping to the back where the note pages are. This is my cleaning log, which I had kept in my bullet journal last year and the previous year as well. So I'm keeping track of my cleaning habits over here, not necessarily following a particularly weekly or monthly or quarterly schedule. It's just whenever I have the time to do it, then I'll do it, and then I'll mark it over here. This one is a list of self-care that I plan to do, and then I mark it based on the months, but within the week. Over here, I'm not sure if I'll be able to write it over here, judging by the amount of notes I have from my languages. But if I do have room, I'll probably note down the time when I actually do this self-care. That way I can keep track of the number of times I did it within that same month. And then here is where I keep track of my subscriptions that I'm paying for. And then here I have another piece of paper. This is where I keep track of my period, whether I'm sick, and my allergies. And then over here, the favorites. Now, I debated on what to do with this. I mean, they gave some suggestions: movies, books, music, restaurants, stuff like that. I decided to go with movies and shows. So here I have Sweet Home Season 1 and 2. And I think a close second might probably be the Gyeongseong Creature, but I don't know yet. I'm not done with the show, so we'll see. Now my 100 page, I'm keeping a list of all the projects or books, movies, TV shows, what I'm buying, eat, drink, visit that I hope to do this year. So I have it listed based on the colors, and then when I've completed them, then I'll check it off. Here, an interview with myself. I'm basically just filling up as I go, when I have the time or when it has happened. And then here, I decided to put in book covers for each of the months. So it's the best book of the month page. Now this 365 days checkoff sheet, it took me a really long time to decide, but finally I decided to keep track of the number of hours of sleep that I have every day. So here, the color, 8 hours would be blue, 7 hours would be green, 6 hours would be purple, 5 or less would be pink. If I am, let's say, 5.5 hours, then it will be still pink, 6.5 will still be purple, and so on and so forth. And then another piece of paper, and that's it. That's all I have in my Hobonichi, and that's how I'm using my Hobonichi in my life right now. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you do like it, do give me a thumbs up. If you want to see more of my other videos, do subscribe to my channel. I plan to do a daily routine vlog soon with my Hobonichi, and I hope to see you in that video. Bye!